Hey everyone. What's shaking? Jeff, I figured you guys were going to keep playing a while. Especially considering how the levels were going. Or that one level specifically. But thank you for raiding as fast as you did. That was that was very kind. Thank you. So, yeah. Hi Goldie. Good to see you. Jeff, of course. Jeff's wife, of course. Cabo, Aranel. Good to see y'all. Dark Angel, I think you're out there too. Hi again. Welcome back. Did I bring anything good? I'm ignoring that question. Still sick today? Ah, man. Goldie, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. Being sick is never entertaining by any stretch of the imagination. So, I get it. I understand. Been there. Hopefully you recover soon though. Oh, that's right. Kebo, thank you. Yes. So, I have new emotes, but only one of the 5 got approved so far. I've been constantly, and in fact I'm going to go check again right now. I uploaded them all at the same time, but somehow the hype one got approved right away, and the rest of them are still pending. So, you know, it is what it is. I got nothing. Oh, don't tell me this thing says I'm offline again. Come on. What is the deal? Let me check something here. How did I fix this last time? This chatbot thing is more hassle than it's worth sometimes. Is what I tell myself. Let's see. Settings, general. It should show me online, but it's not doing it. David on the air. David Air on the air. Let me get it right first. Thank you. Happy Twitchiversary. Where are you taking me tonight? You didn't forget, did you? I'm taking you into this book. All right? That's where we're going. Thank you for that resubscription. Yeah, I can see you, Hicks. I see you. Yes, I brought me and my lovely wife. That's who came. I'm trying to figure out right now why my chatbot thinks I am not online, because I definitely am, and it's irking me. Because that means I can't play the new sound for Aranel and the other mods. Gosh darn it. Because clap should have worked, but it didn't, which is why it cued me that it wasn't freaking working. What the heck? I'm looking right now. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to understand why it hates me. Because it obviously does. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have to restart my computer. Shoot. Gosh darn it. Okay, well, I'll have to get it working for next time. Yeah. Yeah, it's not working. No, lurk's part of it too. Anything that has a sound associated to it has, it's part of the chat bot, which is a separate application to make all that stuff work. And typically as long as the chat bot is on, after or before I go live, it should just recognize, oh, he's here, and then it turns on by itself. but it didn't at all. So, yeah. What do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to just keep going and whatever, or do you want me to restart and come back? Because, we haven't even started reading yet, so. I think I just need to restart the computer. But, yeah. The chatbot needs a serious upgrade, that's for sure. It's very finicky. You have to use kid gloves, Real gentle. Real gentle. Like a bull in a china shop. So, maybe we'll just have to wait for the sounds and stuff for next time, which is a real bummer. Because they're fun. Who doesn't like sounds? What? Aaron Smith. Audio. With your 5 months of Prime. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. How are you? I love your... I'm digging the upgrade in, living quarters that you have now, by the way. I'm not jelly at all. I would love to have something like that. I think it would be amazing. But yes, thank you for that 5 months of Prime. That means mine's coming up here in a few days too, because we're always usually pretty close. So it's good to see. I had an audio alert for you too that was custom, but gosh darn it, I can't freaking play it because chatbot just took a dump on me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Not heartbroken. Unless the... Oh, you know what? Wait, who's Aaron? Are you cheating on me? How many anniversaries do you have? Apparently I have many. And I'm fine with that, David. I really am. Aronel, can we get some shout-outs, please? Hicks. Stop it. Thank you for gifting a sub to Shivy. She's a great streamer, by the way. Can we get some shout-outs? Please? And a hype train. Choo-choo. Hype trains are fun. I'm gonna do yours because that's the way I roll. If I can type. Thank you, Kevo. Oh, and you just reminded me too. I gotta catch up on this. I have a giveaway going, and some of you have just qualified. So, David, Aaron, and Hicks all get added to the giveaway. So, hold on. Let me do this while I've got, a brain to get in there. Otherwise, I'll forget. Okay, something just happened. Something just happened. Hold on. I can't keep up. Add. Okay. Save. Save. Go back. What did I just miss? David, thank you for those bits. Thank you. You guys don't need to keep doing this. It's okay. I mean, if you want to be in the giveaway, great. But don't feel like you're obligated. No one is ever obligated. It blesses me beyond, I can comprehend. But please don't feel like it's an obligation. Yeah, I just wish stuff was working properly. I still have 4 new emotes that haven't finished being cleared yet for some strange reason. Chatbot stopped working. And the problem with chatbot is you never actually know if it's working until you've gone live, because it doesn't turn on until you're live. So You know, it is what it is. I'm gonna see if I can manually kick it into gear, but my doubts, I have them. Right, I need the token because Twitch likes to do the token thing, so we'll wait for the code. Okay, remember me, yep, submit, authorize. Nothing. Yeah, okay. So I did the token thing, but alright. Anyway, we'll have to wait till next time, I guess. That's fine. Let's do Stream Raiders. Because I'm getting the feeling you want to do Stream Raiders. Let's go this way. Aranel keeps typing in the command for Stream Raiders, so we just better do Stream Raiders before she starts yelling at me. Okay. Let's do melee. And some tankies. And some archers. And then whatever you want after that. Easy battle plan, right? Simple. Simple. 13th. Welcome in, sir. It's good to see you. It's good to see all of you. I love our time together. So, to get things on the right track here, we have of this book today's read and then Thursday night, and then we should be done with this book, which is crazy because it felt like we just started it, but yeah, we only have 2 reads left. And then the plan also on Thursday night is to have Goldie on Discord having a chat with us about the book. So once that's done, so Sunday next week, right? Calendar, today's Sunday. Yeah, so the 19th, we will start on Pixie Dust. Shiny. So there you go. And of course, we're continuing Ready Player One, a subs-only read in Discord. So if you want to be part of that, please get into the Discord. But also, don't forget, down below in the About section are a bunch of lovely reading streamers, some of which are in the chat right now. So, yeah. Hey, Stunt Mama, how are you? I love that book, too. This is my second time... That book. This is my second time reading through Ready Player One, and I love it just as much the second time around. So, oh, you were playing Stuffed again? That game's so funny. It's a bunch of it's a teddy bear trying to save off their human from evil toys and shooting them. It's kind of hilarious. So, especially when Stunt Mama plays it because she freaks out all the time. All right. I've been meaning to get around to Ready Player One. It's worth it, man. I'm telling you, Kebo, it is worth it. It's worth every second. So, me? Freak out? Never. No. Never in a million years. But I can imagine what it might look like. Glad I'll be able to actually hear you read that book. Yeah. So, Hicks, unfortunately, for those of you that don't know, sad story, Hicks was not able to attend the past couple of subs-only reads because I had to update my password, and I forgot to update the password in Discord for the connection that grabs the correct people that are subbed. So she missed out because she was like in between the two. She was the only one too. I felt terrible. I thought it was her. I blamed her at first. I really did. I was like, Hicks, it's gotta be you. But I was wrong. It was me. I didn't kick you out. The software did. I have nothing to do with it. My hands are clean. Okay. Have you read Ready Player 2? I have not. And I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about Ready Player 2 as well, but I want to give it my own review. So after we finish Ready Player 1 in the subs only, we will be doing Ready Player 2. So that's the plan. But for today, we're reading the Bubonic Reorder. Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard, Stump Mama. Some people are like, nah, it felt rushed, not as good, just needed to get a book out. But then I've heard other people, they're like, oh, I loved it, blah, blah, blah. Jeffrey's Web said, I thought it was bad. It just had a different tone. Interesting. I have a Goodreads account. I don't use it very often, but it's there. Yeah. Oh, Hicks doesn't stream, Aranel, but thank you. You need more friends on it? Don't we all? Kebo? Don't we all? Okay. So, feel free to place your units in stream raiders, of course, but for right now, it is time to get cozy, settle in, crack your neck, whatever you gotta do. Grab a drink, get a snack, get comfy, that's the main thing. And she is supportive. She's hugely supportive, and I'm lucky to know her. So, for today, we are on chapter 36. It's early September of 2020, and we are back at Ethan's cabin. If you weren't here on the last read, we were... Oh, right, I didn't do the recap. Gosh, I'm so glad you're here, Goldie. And, well, I'm actually starting to talk about what happened last time anyway, so... But I just didn't phrase it in my usual way. So, I didn't do a huge recap for the last stream because I didn't want to, give a lot away, so to speak. So, I kept it pretty short because it was kind of a dun-dun-dun twist in the whole thing. So Angela and Ethan, as planned, are tucked away in Ethan's cabin, right? So they've figured out the cure, they've sent it out, everyone's starting to get vaccines, and they're like, let's take a break, we're out of here, we're going to my cabin. And this time is spent really establishing their relationship more. Like they don't have the runaround that they had. Shout out doesn't have to be only for streamers. You know what? You're absolutely right. I should make a different shout out for, friends and stuff. It's a good idea. Anyway, so they're tucked away at this cabin. They're having a great time. No electronics, no TV, no nothing. And then all of a sudden, they're interrupted by voices, and they find out that Ethan's sister, Janet, has basically crashed their party one morning, and the TV's on. And basically, they find out the vaccine that they had created has not gone as planned. Now, over in Texas, poor Alex, his wife, Sarah, ends up dying due to complications from this vaccine. For Alex, though, instead of mourning and grieving, he gets fueled with rage, basically. And he knows exactly who to point that rage at in his mind. Dr. Ethan Strong has been all over the news. Everyone's talking about him. He's a household name. He's, Ethan's thinking there's a Nobel Prize in the mix until now. And so Ethan is basically set a target, or Alex has set a target on Ethan.
Don't look now, Atkinson. But you have someone new following you.
Wait, what? Jeffrey's wife, thank you. Wait, does that mean the sound alerts are working now? I'm so confused. Does it think I'm online? I'm not online. Wait. Oh no, that was a different... Never mind. Forget that. Anyway, thank you. I'm so flustered. I can't even think straight. So, Alex is out to... That's actually my wife, yes. Raven. Yeah, so Alex is set up to go hunt down Ethan, basically. And I would love to say more, but I really want to encourage you to listen to the last VOD, either here, down below, because it is ready, or on YouTube if you wish. Yeah, it's not working, Arinel. Sorry. That sound alert is actually part of OBS, not chatbot. So, it's a sad day for everybody. But thank you for that follow, by the way. Okay, so now that we're all caught up, let's get reading, because time's a ticking. Alright, chapter 36, early September of 2020. We're in Ethan's cabin, and it is late morning. Here we go. Angela watches Ethan intently as he paces back and forth from the cabin's living room to its dining room. It reminds her of those early days of summer when he would pace around the lab, thinking of solutions to the SARS outbreak. But currently, he appears more like a wild animal trapped in a cage, restless for freedom from the nightmare that consumes him. This past week was full of anxiety and isolation. Ethan wanted to leave immediately to return to Needle. However, the facility was in full lockdown, and they refused to allow him entry. Ethan spent hours each day on the phone with fellow scientists, getting an update on the spread of the death toll and the actions taken to improve the situation. Each day, Ethan became more agitated and manic as it became more obvious that there was no good news to report. Angela observed his dismay and shame each time he hung up the phone and relayed the bad news to her and Janet. By the end of the week, the trio had a new dilemma to address. Ethan, we are officially down to past sale date milk and stale chips. We need more food if we're going to stay here, says Janet. Do you think it's safe to venture out? The news makes it appear as if complete anarchy has erupted, states Angela. More of those shots are in and around the major cities. Hopefully this remote location will keep the tension and tempers down. If we believe that, why did we park the cars behind the cabin and draw all the shades and keep the lights off at night? Angela ponders. Better to be safe than sorry, Ethan interjects as his pacing brings him closer to their conversation. We need to make some sort of decision. It's probably best to avoid the large towns, but we need to get food and other supplies soon, pushes Janet. I will go out this afternoon and see if I can get supplies at one of the local general stores, he states. By yourself? No way. What if something happens to you? We need to stick together. We will all go this afternoon to find supplies. Plus, the more hands, the lighter the work. We can take my Jeep for the trip. It should be enough room to fit all of us and fill with supplies, Janet says. Ethan agrees to the plan and asks the ladies to make a list of all the supplies they can think of that will be helpful for spending an extended period of time in the cabin. While they craft the list, Ethan retreats to the bedroom. He moves to the bedroom closet and pulls a long, flat, hard case off the shelf. He places the case on the bed and lifts the lid. Inside, he finds his hunting shotgun from his duck hunting trips with his father and grandfather. He spends the next hour cleaning the weapon and collecting all the available shells from the closet. He loads the weapon and secures it in the case. Ethan brings the case to the living room and places it by the front door. Going hunting? Asks Janet. We'll see, responds Ethan. It is almost noon by the time they head out on their mission. The trio piles into Janet's Grand Cherokee. Not wanting to upset Ethan's fragile state, Janet doesn't bother to argue with him when he takes the Jeep's keys from her. Before he slides in behind the wheel, Ethan places the gun case in the trunk area of the Jeep. Janet holds down the passenger side rear seat to maximize the capacity for the trip. She then sits in the driver's side rear seat. Angela takes the shotgun seat next to Ethan. He eases the Jeep down the cabin driveway and takes a left turn toward town. The passengers are quiet as he drives the 3 miles of country road to the first major intersection. Making a right, it is only another 2 miles to reach the quaint New England village town center. About a quarter a mile before the first intersection, Janet is the first person to speak. She leans forward, nestling her head in the space between Ethan and Angela. "Are those people ahead? We should stop and talk to them and see what's going on in town," she suggests. Ethan and Angela follow where Janet's outstretched hand and finger point. In the grass off the side of the road, there appear to be 3 individuals. Based on the height of the 2 standing, at least one is an adult male. The 2 standing people appear to have A-frame hiking packs on their backs. The 3rd individual is kneeling in the grass and seems to be unpacking something from the bag. As the Jeep gets closer to the travelers, the 2 standing individuals start walking back toward the road. Ethan presses the accelerator and the Jeep lurches forwards. "What are you doing?" asks Janet. Ethan does not answer, but continues to accelerate forward. "Ethan, why are you speeding up? Slow down so we can talk to those people." "Absolutely not. We are avoiding people at all costs," he states as the Jeep speeds past the travelers in the opposite lane. Angela peers out the window to see 2 of them running after the Jeep, waving their hands in the air. "Why?" screams Janet. "Better to be safe than sorry," reiterates Ethan. "That personal motto of yours is getting pretty freaking annoying," states Janet as she slumps back into her seat. Ethan takes the right turn nailed that one. Ethan takes the right turn toward town without stopping for the sign. He accelerates out of the turn to be sure to increase the distance between them and the 3 travelers. He accelerates for the first mile without making the turn, and steadily climbs into the hills of the Berkshires. At the end of that first mile, the ascent plateaus and then begins to descend. From this vantage point, the trio has a straight view to the town ahead of them. At the crest of the hill, the first thing the trio notices is the rising columns of smoke. 4 distinct billows of smoke rise from the horizon and combine into one ominous cloud that blankets the sky before them. Ethan slows the momentum of the Jeep and tentatively continues the progress toward town. Minutes later, the Jeep inches down the town's main street. The main drag contains a general store, country inn, quilt shop, 2 restaurants, and a municipal building that holds the post office, police station, fire station, and town hall. If the group continues a bit further out of town, they will find an elementary school. "This looks just as bad as the scenes on television," states Angela. "This is horrible. Look, Ethan, Stinton's candy store's burnt to the ground." Ethan remains quiet as he slowly rolls the Jeep down the center of the roadway. He cannot believe the devastation before his eyes. Glass and debris from shattered storefront windows and doors litter the sidewalks flanking the roadway. Stinson's candy store, the first building they pass, is smoldering from a recent fire. Ethan wonders who would set a candy store on fire. What is the purpose of that? As he peers ahead, he sees the country inn on the other side of the road is also on fire. Active flames still rise from that larger structure. A police car and the town's sole fire truck are parked outside the building. Various hoses extended from the truck toward the building. But as they roll past, there do not appear to be any individuals fighting the fire. Upon closer inspection, Ethan notices that the windows of the police car are smashed in. With falling hope, he moves the car to the last building in town. His shoulders slump when he views the burnt-out shell of the general store. This is not good. If the chaos has reached a small country center like this, all the local supermarkets will be fully looted, reveals Ethan. Maybe this is why those people were trying to flag us down? To warn us, suggests Janet. Hey, Queen. Good to see you. How are you? Maybe, he states thoughtfully. Where else can we get food? Asks Angela. I'm not sure. We have to think of a place that has food but is not obvious that it has food, strategizes Ethan. How about snacks at the register of a gas station? Suggests Janet. There is that country gas station back the other way where Dad always stopped to fill up before we made the return trip home. Remember, Ethan? Dad always let us get some candy bars from the ride home. Yeah, that is the correct thinking. I'm just not sure we would get the right balance of nutrients from that stop. We could try the school, mentions Janet. It's summer. I doubt there would be any food in there, counters Angela. We actually should have some good luck. First, the school runs a summer camp that serves both breakfast and lunch. They should have some supplies left over from that. Plus, the school semester was supposed to have started this week, and I imagine they would have stocked up in preparation for the first day. That's a great thought. If we're lucky, no one else will have thought to raid the school cafeteria, Ethan hopes aloud. Upon arriving at the elementary school, he backs the Jeep close to the exterior door labeled Kitchen. He opens the Jeep's trunk and slides the gun case in front of him. He unlocks the case and removes the shotgun. He instructs Janet and Angela to step away from the door. Ethan loads and aims the gun at the door's handle. Unlike the movies, the door does not explode with one blast from the shotgun. Ultimately, it takes 3 shots to create enough damage for him to kick the door open. The school kitchen is a treasure trove. The cabinets and shelves are fully stocked with food. The group spreads out and begins making trips back and forth to the Jeep. Ethan concentrates on the freezer and removes packets of ground beef, chicken nuggets, and frozen pizza to fill the fridge and freezer. He also fills up on eggs and milk for the refrigerator. Janet grabs boxes of individual cereal packets, chips, and candy. When she realizes she has more boxes than will fit in the Jeep, she slips into the school gymnasium and retrieves several jump ropes. She uses the ropes to secure the several boxes of the roof rack of the Jeep. If Ethan drives slowly, the boxes should make it all the way home. Angela focuses her efforts on the various shelves in the kitchen. These shelves hold containers of salt, sugar, flour, cooking oil, and spices. She grabs all of the flour and a couple of containers of the other items. When she's done, she assists Janet in securing boxes on the roof rack. While the ladies are securing the boxes, Ethan re-enters the kitchen and ensures all the lights are off and all the cabinets and refrigerator doors are closed. He hopes to minimize their footprint. Hopefully, they can drop off the groceries at the cabin and then come back with both cars to get the rest of the non-perishable goods. Hey, iBlue Wave. Welcome in. Good to see you. As Ethan exits the kitchen, he notices a pickup truck pulling up the school's driveway toward their position. He pulls the kitchen door shut and then stands just off the tail light of the Jeep. The pickup truck stops approximately 25 feet in front of the Jeep. Janet and Angela step down from the running boards after securing the final box to the roof. 2 burly men in flannel shirts and blue jeans exit the pickup truck. Howdy. We heard quite the racket coming from this direction. calls out the man who exited the passenger seat. "Seems they hit the mother lode, doesn't it, Jerry?" "It sure seems that way," responds the pickup driver. "There is plenty more still left in the kitchen," states Ethan, gesturing over his shoulder. "Well, that's good, but I have to say, I don't recognize you. You aren't from around here, are you?" asks the driver. "No, we aren't," responds Ethan. "Well then, it seems you don't have a claim on any of the things you're taking," adds the passenger. "Since we live here, it's our hard-earned tax money that paid for that food. So why don't you unload your car and be on your way?" says the driver in a more menacing tone. Feeling the mood shift quickly, Ethan decides it's time that they get away from the school. He leans to his right and grabs the shotgun. In one swift motion, he swings the gun up and points it at the townies. "Listen, we don't want any trouble. Like I said, there's plenty of food still in the school. Enough to fill up that pickup truck. We're going to leave now. Girls, get into the car." As Ethan speaks, he takes a step forward. The two townies' eyes grow wide, and they instinctively put their hands in the air. Ethan waits until Angela and Janet are in the car. He calls out to Janet to turn on the engine and roll down the rear seat window. Once the window is down, Ethan opens the rear passenger door and quickly takes a seat. He slams the door while pointing the shotgun out of the window in the direction of the two men. "Janet, get us out of here," Ethan shouts. She speeds down the driveway and retraces their steps back toward the cabin. "Jesus, that was fucking scary," admits Janet. "I can't believe you were willing to shoot those guys." "I wouldn't have been very successful." "Why is that?" asks Angela. "The shotgun was empty. I never reloaded it after I shot the door." "Well, get that thing loaded," demands Janet. Janet keeps the Jeep hurtling down the road. She refuses to go any slower in case the townies decide to give chase. Angela keeps her eyes on the side mirror, looking for any signs of the pickup truck. The ravaged downtown passes in a blur as Janet plows forward. Within a few minutes, she is approaching the intersection where they needed to take a left toward the cabin. "Ethan, should I head to the cabin or should we hit the gas station?" asks Janet. "Let's get home. We can always head out tomorrow after our nerves calm down." Janet nods and takes the left onto the road leading to the cabin. The three backpackers are no longer loitering near the intersection. The Jeep is about halfway to the cabin when Janet recognizes the three backpackers walking down the shoulder. Upon hearing the Jeep's engine approaching, the travelers turn to face the vehicle. Janet notices the two taller figures fumble with their packs. With a startled yelp, Janet screams out, "Ethan, they have guns! What do I do?" Ethan leans forward and can see the two gunmen 25 yards ahead with their handguns raised and pointing at the Jeep. "Floor it!" Ethan screams. The Jeep lurches forward, pushing the passengers back into their seats. Janet guides the vehicle to the opposite side of the road, attempting to put as much distance as possible from the gunman. As the Jeep closes the distance to the gunman, the bullets begin to rain down on the vehicle. Within seconds, the Jeep is speeding past the assailants. Between the bullets, the roaring engine, and the screams of the passengers, the noise inside the Jeep is deafening. As they hurtle past the backpackers, Janet sighs with a sense of relief. They made it. That thought just crossed her mind when the back of the Jeep begins to swerve out of control, fishtailing across the road. Janet fights the momentum, attempting to regain control of the vehicle. Unbeknownst to Janet, the gunman managed to shoot out her rear tires. No matter her efforts, she is unable to wrestle control, and the Jeep slides off the road and strikes a tree. Oh, snap. I mean, if things go sideways, you can still smash in the other people's heads. But that wouldn't have been nearly as effective. Yeah, it's true. They have other issues now. Plumes of smoke rise from the fractured engine. Spiderweb cracks fill the front windshield. Candy bars and potato chip bags litter the scene. As a jump rope snapped during the crash, launching the boxes from the car. Janet and Angela sit in their seats, stunned from the crash and the release of the Jeep's airbags. But that would hurt too, by the way. That would just freaking hurt. Ethan's ears ring from the din of the impact. Joyous shouts penetrate the noise fog that fills his brain. Ethan barely has time to think before he sees the silhouette of a person outside his open window. Mustering his strength, he angles a shotgun up toward the figure and fires. The man's white shirt blossoms red from the impact of his thrown, and he is thrown several feet back. Ethan opens the car door and flops out onto the grass. The two trailing assailants halt in shock from the scene before them. The other gunman takes a step back before he gains his senses. Ethan begins to rise off the ground and face the two remaining backpackers. The taller backpacker is a man in his mid-40s. He sports a thick mountain man beard. His jeans are covered in mud, and his shirt has dark pit stains. The shorter backpacker appears to be a teenage boy. The resemblance of the man beside him is striking. Father? Uncle? Wonders Ethan as he rises. The gunman covers his shock and raises his gun before him and pulls the trigger. The gun hammer clicks, but no projectile flies forward. The man's eyes grow wide, and he pulls the trigger rapidly without success. Ethan watches the man lower the gun and fumble with the clip. And without a thought, he fires the shotgun, striking the man in the upper chest and face. Panicked, the teenager turns and runs, frantically screaming. Ethan limps forward and retrieves the handgun from the two men's lifeless bodies. He returns to the Jeep and opens the driver's side door. He rouses Janet and helps her exit the car. She immediately sees the bloody corpse next to the Jeep and pukes. He supports her and helps her to the front of the Jeep and sits her down on the grass next to the road. He returns to the Jeep and repeats the process with Angela, but he angles her sight away from the dead bodies. Ethan collapses next to the two women and wonders what their next step should be. We can't stay here long. Let's take a few minutes and head to the cabin. We can grab my car and come back for the food, suggests Ethan. The women nod slightly. Angela wonders if a few minutes will provide any relief to her bone-crushing weariness. After about 20 minutes, Ethan rouses the women and gets them on their feet. He hands each of them a handgun while he holds the shotgun. He guides the group away from the road and toward the tree line of the woods that flank this side of the roadway. If they are lucky, they should make it home without incident. God knows they've had their fill of excitement today. I say this with all pun intended, but shoot. That's nuts. They shouldn't have shot their way into the kitchen. Breaking a window would have been more stealth. Yeah, possibly. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't have avoided the fact that there was this big Jeep sitting right outside the kitchen door. Ugh. And that's why you hit your reload key every time you fired your gun. Yeah, I don't think I don't think they could just hit R, you know? I'm trying to imagine that in real life. Like Ethan's in the Jeep. He's got his shotgun. And he's like, where's the R key? Where's the R key? I need to reload. Oh. Fun times. I gotta say, though, I am... Like, I realized, we know about his hunting past, growing up. I didn't see Ethan as the person that would just willingly open fire, even if it seemed logical. So I think it had to happen. Like, I don't think... I mean, sure, you could have maybe... you could have seen the story going a different direction, but in order for the true emergency of the situation to be present and believable, I felt like, firing weapons is the only way to get the job done. If there hadn't been any firing of weapons, I don't think that would have been the case at all. Alright, we got plenty of melee, so I'm going to correctly use Killing Field this time, because I incorrectly used it last time. And here we go. Ethan is cracking. He wants to protect Jen and Angela after letting the world down. Oh, totally. He's like, I gotta do my part. I gotta provide. I gotta be that guy, so to speak. But if you've never... I mean, I've never fired a gun at somebody. But I can only imagine... we lost. Sad day. I can only imagine that doing it in real life takes... it does something. Like, it's not a simple... I'm just going to pull the trigger. You gotta have a lot of... courage, I guess, to do that. You can never fire a weapon at someone? Well, I've never been in a situation where it's been necessary, and I hope I never will be. Maybe in a live or die situation, but even then I'm not sure. Well, I think it's arguably the case that they are in a live or die situation right now. So, you know what, we're just going to start in the corner. This time, I think. Oh, you won't let me put one there. Okay. That's fine. Or there either. Jeez. Okay. Let's try this again. Excuse me. I couldn't even hurt or hunt. Couldn't shoot anything. I kind of have the imagination that if you have to do it for whatever reason, it breaks something inside of you. I don't know. I'm pacifist through and through, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, unless you're put into that, I guess it's really hard to tell. When someone is backed into a corner, that fight or flight instinct is always going to kick in. But I don't know if we ever really truly know which way we're going to go unless you experience it. Kibble says, man, back in my time in Afghanistan, I wanted to get in a combat situation, thinking maybe then I'd be more respected by my peers. Glad I never did for many reasons. Truth. Truth. I don't think I've met anybody that's been in a firefight that's come out of it going, you know, that was amazing. That was awesome. So, absolutely. Okay. Back in our book, we are chapter 37 now. Oh, Goldie says the first one he did without thinking as he was still stunned. The second was more willful. Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't sure which way you were going to go with it, though, because of the son being there. I thought maybe, like, Ethan doesn't have kids, so it may not have affected him in the same way, you know, mentally. But with the kid being there, I mean, I'm glad he ran off, wasn't injured, but, you know, that would have made me second guess my actions. I might have maybe, you know, knowing that the gun was jammed or whatever the situation was, I might have pointed it and said, you sure you want to, you know, do this, and then let them have the chance to run off or something. But it's, I don't know. You just don't know. Let's see. So with chapter 37, we are in August of 1349 in Bavaria, early morning. So we are jumping back in time. I wonder if this is the last chapter that does that. I'm just checking. I think so. Until the epilogue. Okay, so this is the last time we are jumping back to the 1300 era. So this should be interesting. 2 years after the events of Messina. Got it. Thank you for that. That helps put into perspective what's going on. Let's see if they've got any luck. A lone bird chirps a melodic song that cuts through the silence of the early morning. The sun is just cresting the horizon, casting its glow on the large mountains that cut violently across the landscape. The air is damp with the moisture from a recent rainstorm. The rains deliver life to the myriad types of vegetation that cover the landscape. As the sun creeps higher in the sky, it drives away the shadows, winning this battle in their perpetual war. Finally, the sunlight reaches the forms of a man and a woman sleeping in an open field under a large leafy tree. The pair slept under this tree, seeking shelter from the evening rain. Tita rolls over and nudges her son awake. "Luca, it's time to wake," she encourages. Luca yawns and stretches his long form. He sits up and rubs the stiffness from his legs. With a groan, he stands and thrusts his hands to the sky to stretch out his arms and back. She notices how tall her boy is now and how gaunt his frame is. The pair has struggled each day to find enough nourishment to fuel their forward momentum. You reading this book makes me realize I use the word myriad too often. You don't notice till you read it out loud? Okay, so slight break in the reading. Yes, it was brought to my attention that if I started to read what I was writing aloud, I would then notice things that I just wouldn't notice reading in my head. And something like that of, what word choice am I using is one of those. But I don't think it's, it could be a lot worse. So let's put it that way. I guess you could, if you still have the Word doc or something, you could go back and do a search, of your 142,000 words. How many times does it show up? So the computer reads it aloud to me, but I did not notice. That's right. Yeah. Well, there you go. It's just one of those things. Live and learn. But I don't think it's that much, honestly. Tita stands and begins to pack their meager belongings. "There's no need for a fire this morning. We ate the last of the game you killed last night," she explains. Luca stands and sweeps the landscape with his gaze. They are in a large field of grass under a single tree that is situated like an island in a field of green. The edges of the tree's leaves are just starting to show a hint of orange and red. Their campsite is a couple of 100 meters from the road. They were forced to stop here for the evening. Last night, as the sun was fading, Tita spotted a town farther up the road at the base of the mountain range that lay before them. They did not have time to get past the town before evening arrived. Luca spotted this lone tree among the high grass and determined it was a suitable location to make camp. The location had many great advantages for getting a good night's sleep. The open landscape provided ample lines of sight to identify approaching predators, whether human or animal. The tall grass obstructed travelers from seeing Luca and his mother as they lay down to sleep, and also concealed the small fire they constructed to cook their evening meal. At the memory of the food, Luca's stomach growls with hunger. Last night's meal was barely a mouthful of game that he had killed the prior morning. Force a hydrate. Good idea. I will do that. Thank you. You guys should drink too, if you haven't drank anything yet. Get that hydration flowing. Luca's attention turns to the bird chirping in the tree above him. He looks up, scanning the branches for the fowl. but the creature eludes his sight. He is thankful that the vegetation is still wow, I'm doing great. As Stunt Mama would say, words are hard. He is thankful that the vegetation is still yielding an edible output. Wild berries and other vegetation cover the fields they traverse. However, with the summer ending, he is finding it more difficult to gather an adequate amount of food each day. Luca focuses on helping his mother break down their campsite. The pair is well versed in this task, having spent the last 2 years as nomads. His mind wanders as he remembers his joy and sadness when he left Messina. The death of his father shattered the boy, and he barely remembers the journey to Palermo to visit his relatives. As he thinks back on Messina, he contemplates if that is the last time he truly felt safe. His mother had packed generously for the trip to Palermo. Each night after a long day's walk, they set up camp with the other refugees fleeing Messina. They ate a hearty meal from the rations Tita packed. By the time they reached Palermo, some of the refugees were showing signs of sickness. During those last few days, the caravan traveled in silence, not wanting to acknowledge the impending doom facing some of its members. Tita's family was surprised but overjoyed to see her and Luca. The absence of Matteo was immediately noticed. His mother spent several hours explaining all that had happened in Messina. She started with the death ship and spoke uninterrupted until she described their flight on the Western Road. Her family was captivated and mortified by Tita's tale. The family made up a room for them in their home. Tita and Luca slept soundly, feeling relieved that they had reached safety. But this safety did not last long. Soon, there were isolated stories of Palermo citizens becoming ill and showing symptoms similar to their Messina brethren. When Luca's uncle got sick, his aunt cursed Tita and Luca for delivering ruin to their door. She screamed hateful words at them and drove them from her home. Today, Luca could not remember the exact words that his aunt screamed at him and his mother. What he distinctly remembered is how her mouth foamed with spit and white particles flew from the corners of her mouth in every direction. In the haste of the situation, he and his mother departed the home without any food. They only recovered their belongings because his aunt threw their travel bags out the front door and into the dirt. His mother feared if they walked to the next city, they would encounter the same situation. Palermo was doomed. Its citizens were just not fully aware of it yet. Tita took all the money she had and secured passage on a ship leaving Palermo for Genoa. She believed they would only be safe once they were able to separate themselves from this pestilence. She was confident that crossing the sea and having a body of water between them and Sicily would do the trick. She dreamed that the safety of the mainland would allow them to start over. Their hopes were immediately dashed upon landing in Genoa. The docks were swarming with panicked Genoese civilians. The disease had beaten them to Genoa. As their ship docked, horror-stricken citizens rushed the gangplanks to board the arriving ship. His mother pushed her way off the ship and through the crowded streets, dragging Luca along behind her. It took them hours, but they finally emerged from the city proper and pushed their way north on the trade road. During the first winter, his mother was able to find work in a tavern in a village northwest of Genoa. She told Luca that they finally managed to travel beyond the borders of the disease. The tavern owner was kind and a generous man and allowed them to sleep in the loft of his barn. Each night, his mother collected the leftover scraps of the meals she served to feed Luca. In the course of a week, Nearly everyone in town had a meal or drink in the tavern. His mother quickly learned the names of the patrons. She memorized the details of their lives that they shared with her as they ate or drank. At the end of the first month, she began to greet each patron by name as they entered the tavern. She asked them about their families, work, and trips. Her friendly manner and beauty led to a steady flow of coin into her pocket. Tita told Luca she was saving all her earnings, hoping to upgrade their lodging situation by the coming fall. The months passed quietly, and Tita and Luca began to forget their recent horrors. As winter transitioned into spring, the tavern banter began to speak of a deadly disease ravaging some far distant towns. When Luca first overheard this information, he began to panic. He told his mother that he wanted to leave town in the hopes of staying ahead of the disease. However, she told him a widowed mother would be hard-pressed to find such success again, so they remained in town. As each day passed, more and more stories of death and disease filled the tavern hall. By early summer, Luca began to recognize the various towns being discussed. When he heard that a farmer from town was gravely ill with a grotesque lump in his groin, he was not surprised. If he were honest with himself, he knew it was inevitable. There was nowhere he could run or distance he could travel to outspace this curse. It had relentlessly stalked them over land and sea. These months, as they hid, it never gave up, and now it had found them. The next few weeks were a living nightmare for his mother. The tavern became a makeshift treatment ward. Infected townspeople and travelers were laid out on the tables. Tita became a triage healer. She was the only individual with direct experience with the disease. Instead of caring for one patient as she did in Messina, she had a dozen patients. Luca begged his mother to allow him to help, but she wanted him to stay away from the tavern. His mother spent her days placing cool rags on the patient's lumps and feeding them broth. She worked to provide each one a measure of comfort. Ultimately, she lost every single one of her charges. The final blow was when the tavern owner became sick. He was her last patient, and she said she was relieved that she would be able to provide him one-on-one attention. She washed him daily and sang to him. She thanked him for his generosity. When he died, she attempted to perform the last rites ritual. David, through the great goodness of God, may He pardon whatever sins you have committed by sight, hearing, speech, and touch, said Tita. Tita and Luca left the village that day in search of a new safe haven. It was on this day that Luca's perpetual hunger began. On the second winter, as nomads, the pair nearly died. Once word of the pestilence spread, they found themselves turned away from towns, sometimes violently. Several towns they approached had set up guards on the road to confirm identification. To enter, travelers needed to be a town citizen or sponsored by a town member. Other towns refused all outside entry. Tita and Luca had no sponsors and found themselves walking from town to town. With no food, money, supplies, or shelter, the pair quickly found themselves in a dire situation. On a cold winter night, they met Anthony. He invited them to his campsite and shared the bounty of his meal. The group traveled for about a year as a trio. Anthony taught Luca how to hunt small game. In addition, he showed him which berries were edible. He showed Tita how to start and maintain a campfire and how to cook and dry meat. She said Anthony was a source of divine intervention. After several months traveling and living off the land, Anthony announced their group needed to find a permanent place to reside. The daily conversations were dominated by discussions of possible locations. The group spent the majority of the days alone, but sometimes met other refugees displaced by the plague. These meetings became friendly interrogations, as both groups probed to find out what the other group had visited. Each party's goals was to ascertain where was safe. During one of these encounters, a fellow refugee indicated he was headed to Strasbourg. The town was accepting new travelers who paid an entry fee. He indicated that the city was untouched by disease. He heard that Strasbourg was accepting new citizens because they had a shortage of labor. The trio was excited about this opportunity and followed the refugee west toward Strasbourg. Luca was elated to have a destination his family could call home. By mid-January, the group arrived at the Strasbourg city limits. As expected, they found the roadway blocked with guards. With trepidation, they approached. The guard stopped them, asking their business in Strasbourg. The refugees told the guards that they were there to sell in Strasbourg. The guard questioned each person about their skill sets. One of the guards bent down on one knee and looked Luke in the eye and asked, "What can you do, lad?" His mother responded that he assisted her as a server in the tavern. Satisfied, the guard indicated the amount of the required settlement fee. Upon hearing the sum, Luca became scared. He was sure his mother only had a few coins left. But his concern was quickly dispelled. Anthony stepped forward and paid the fee for all three of them. The guard instructed each of them to register with the town clerk. Man, Anthony's the man, he's the guy. Those first days in Strasbourg were a relief. Luca spent the days exploring the town, but after a couple of weeks, he heard his mother and Anthony whispering about unrest in the town. And then the curse struck again. Quickly, rumors of plague swept through the city. The affliction passed through the city in a matter of days. Its severity led many to believe a wrathful God was punishing the wicked. The question became, who are the wicked? A mob soon formed, going door to door and dragging people to the streets. After surveying the situation, Anthony returned and told Tita and Luca they needed to leave the city immediately. The mob had the registered list of new arrivals and was rounding them up in the central square. Well, that doesn't sound good. Once again, Luca fled the onslaught of the pestilence. The trio wove through the streets, pushing towards the city limits. The group was about to step onto the main road out of the town when a guard suddenly blocked their path. It was the same guard who had allowed their entry a few weeks earlier. They quickly found themselves surrounded and dragged to the square. And dragged to the square with thousands of other individuals. The prisoners cried and yelled for their freedom. They begged and wailed, but their pleas landed on deaf ears. Luca remembered the mob growing quiet and the silence being broken by a booming voice. Based on a true event. Man. Ugh. I mean, I can see it, I get it, but it still sucks. Strasbourg has a long history of prosperity and righteousness. Our devotion to the Lord has spared us the crisis and judgment delivered upon other communities. However, the Lord's judgment has now fallen onto our community. Wickedness has infected our city. We will root out this evil, and those who delivered damnation to our doorstep. Those before you will pay the penalty of eternal destruction. I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked. To show the Lord the righteousness of our community, we will banish the women and the children as punishment. The men will be cleansed with fire. Well, there goes Anthony. Shoot. The man declared. The women and children were hastily driven from the town. Tita attempted to cover Luca's eyes and ears from the horror inflicted on the men, but she did not have enough hands to complete the task. Luca could hear the anguished screams from the men as they burned to death. Looking over his shoulder, he could see the black smoke rising above the city buildings. The sights and smells reminded him of his flight from Messina. Death and destruction appeared to be their constant travel companion. You took their money, who's wicked? Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Well said. Luca sighs as he recalls the events of the past 2 years. Each time he and his mother find safety and happiness, the curse descends on them. He thinks it better they remain nomads, constantly staying ahead of the Reaper of Souls. He finds it hard to believe that it has been more than 6 months since they lost Anthony. A wave of sorrow washes over Luca as he remembers his dream that Anthony would be his father, and they would settle somewhere together. But those were dreams of a child. Happiness is an elusive illusion that Luca will never capture. He knows that he must now concern himself with preparing for the coming winter, and without Anthony, surviving it will be a challenge. These thoughts fills Luca's head as he absent-mindedly finishes packing up the campsite. With the task complete, he spots his mother finishing her chores. Without thinking, he cuts directly across the campsite. Typically, the final step before the pair departs is to put out the morning fire. Since they had no food to cook this morning, Luca forgot about the last night's fire and the lingering coals. As he cuts across the campsite, he screams out in pain and collapses to the ground. Tita looks up, startled, and sees Luca crumpled into the side of the fire pit. A second scream pierces the early morning as he rolls away from the simmering embers. Tita rushes to him. He is lying on his side with his knees pulled to his chest. Large, pus-filled bubbles cover his feet where he stepped on the forgotten embers. Tita grabs the water flask from her bag. She uses her knife to cut strips of cloth from her spare clothing. She pours the water over the cloth, fully saturating the linen. Luca, I'm going to wrap your feet with these wet rags. I am hoping the coldness will reduce the swelling and provide you with relief. She shouts over his screams. Yeah, I don't think that's going to do it, but God, I can imagine that in my head, and that's gotta suck. Luca continues to scream out in pain as he hugs his knees to his chest. Tita kneels at his feet. As he lies on his side, his right leg is stacked on his left leg. Tita takes hold of his right leg and straightens it out and raises it up in the air. She keeps a firm grip on the leg as she attempts to pull it back to his chest. She wraps his foot from his toes to his ankle. She manages to get Luca to roll onto his other side and repeats the process. With his feet wrapped, he returns to a fetal position. His screams have died down to desperate moans. Tita knows Luca needs a healer. The longer those burns remain untreated, the more likely they will become infected. She stands and scans the road leading to the town at the base of the mountain range. She hopes to see someone traveling along the road so she can call for help. However, it is barely daybreak, and the road will probably not see activity for a couple of hours. Her eyes follow the road to the outskirts of town. Under normal conditions, it's a relatively short walk. However, she wonders if Luca can walk a couple of meters, let alone a couple of thousand. Tita decides they must get to the town for help. She retrieves a knife from the ground and cuts off a branch from the tree. She cuts the branch down to a section that is short, as long as her hand and twice as wide as her thumb. She brings the short branch over to Luca. Luca, we need to get to town to get you a healer. I will help you walk there, but this is going to be very painful. Place this branch in your mouth and bite down on it for the pain. She directs as she places the branch in his mouth. Oh, God. He's only a boy. Okay. He bites down on the branch. She places Luca's arms across her shoulders. She plants her right shoulder into his left armpit and pulls him off the ground. A muffled scream escapes him as he bites down on the branch in his mouth. The pair makes it about 20 meters before Luca needs to sit and rest. It requires 3 attempts to cross the field and reach the road. It takes almost 2 hours before they reach the outskirts of the city. As they stumble forward, Tita can see 2 guards blocking the road into town. She calls out to them for help, but they do not move or respond. Luca is delirious with the pain. Sweat pours over his forehead and down his face. His head sways back and forth with each agonizing step. By the time they reach the roadblock, Tita is frantic. This hurts me hearing it, right? Ugh. Horrible. Alright. There's a bunch of dialogue coming up, so before I do that, let's do Stream Raiders. Let's see how we fare this time. Hopefully, we fare well. Maybe I should curse this time. Yeah. Well, curse you. Alright. Good luck. Ugh. Oh no, don't split into different directions. That's not gonna help. Look at me, I'm just wandering off by myself and everyone else is like, we'll just fight up here. Ah, those archers. Welp. We tried. We tried. Dang, those are tough. I agree. We need more units. For sure. For surezies. Okay, I'm gonna come in too. Well, if Queen's coming in, then we have a fighting chance. Let's try this. One more time. We can do this, guys, okay? We're gonna start from the bottom this time. Is my range better than my... No, they're about the same. My tank's a little better, but... Yeah, I'll do a tank to try and hold off the brutes. The brutes that they are. That's okay. The only way to level them up is just to use them, you know? So, you gotta try. You gotta try. Alright. Let's try that, see how it goes. Okay. We're page 406. I thought we'd have it this time. That's okay. It's not a big deal. It's just a game, folks. Okay? It's just a game. Alright, so we're about a third of the way through page 406, and Tita is going to call out to the guards. Stream Raiders is life. It's life. I can't do it. Okay. Help me. Please help me. My son is hurt. She screams at the guard, her voice faltering from the strain. Are you a resident of... Oh, God. Oberammergau? Oberammergau? Go? Oberammergau? I have no idea how to say this. I'm just going to type it in chat. Oh. Yeah, that one. Of that town? The guard responds. No, my son is hurt. Help my son. Oberammergau. Oberammergau. Okay, I can say that now. Thank you. If you are not a resident, you may not enter Oberammergau. Spits back the guard. You know where that is? Have you visited, Queen? Or you just know where it is? I'm not sure where that is in relation to you. A second guard steps forward to block the path into the town. Get out of our way! My son needs a healer, screams Tita. What is wrong with him? Questions the second guard. He injured his feet. Let's see, chimes the first guard. We do not have time for this nonsense. Get me a healer, Tita begs. She finally collapses to the ground under the weight of Luca. He lands forcefully into his hindquarters, and she crumples onto her knees. Luca falters under the strain and flops onto his back, smacking his head on the road as he falls. Ow. Free of her burden, Tita is finally able to look up into the eyes of the guards. As she takes in the scene, she notices that her screaming drew the attention of several townspeople. A crowd of 12 people now form a semicircle behind the guards. She suddenly feels on display as if she and Luca are putting on a depressing, tragic play. She scans the crowd before her, hoping to find a friendly face. Unfortunately, she only finds cold, expressionless stares. I didn't visit it, no, but I know where it is. It's quite far in the south of Germany. Okay. That helps put in perspective. Thank you. I want to see his injury, repeats the first guard. Tita crawls forward to reach the bandages covering Luca's wounds. She lifts his leg and places it on her thigh. The movement elicits a groan of pain from Luca. With his leg balanced on her thigh, she reaches forward and begins to unwrap the bandages. She gently unravels each layer of cloth until she reveals the layer in direct contact with Luca's skin. She attempts to gently remove the cloth, but finds the cloth crusted into the wounds. The cloth is covered in blood and pus from the blisters that burst as he shuffled along the road to town. Oh God, that would have hurt. With monumental effort, Tita rips the cloth from Luca's foot, invoking a screech of agony from her son. The extent of the lesions is considerably worse than Tita thought. Luca's soul is in various stages of distress. The edges of his foot have a series of small blisters filled with fluid. The center of his foot appears the most damaged. There clearly was once a large blister over that area of his foot. However, the impact from walking punctured the sores, leaving behind large strips of loose, dead skin. With the makeshift cloth bandage removed, Luca's injuries resumed their flow of blood and pus. Ugh. Lovely. Anyone hungry? He is infected. Send them away before we all die, cries one of the spectators. Yes, banish them before it's too late, implores another. Explosions of cries erupt from the spectators. Tita lifts her head to explain the injury, but instantly feels a hard impact on her temple. Stunned from the blow, she lifts her hand to her face and feels warm liquid ooze over her fingerprints. Her vision is temporarily impaired with bursts of bright light obstructing her sight. She shakes her head and looks up again and catches a glimpse of a stone hurtling past her face. Suddenly, rocks of all sizes rain down on Tita and Luca. She raises her hands in front of her face and then turns her back to the assailants and drapes her body like a shield over her son. Wow. A cacophony of voices fill her ears and battle the thumping sound of her pulse radiating through her injured skull. Her back takes the brunt of the attack. She yelps in pain as each stone strikes her. Tita repeatedly cries out for mercy, but the rocks continue to descend upon her. She is overwhelmed by fear and seeks solace in her religious upbringing. With a crack in her voice, she begins to mumble the Lord's Prayer. Oh Lord, almost makes you hurt listening to this. Very good descriptions. Yeah. Thank you for making us all suffer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Tita begins as the onslaught continues around her. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. She continues, gaining strength from her faith. The screams from the crowd and the pounding in her head makes the words sound small and distant. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Tita bellows, projecting her resolve. The crowd is stunned from the outburst, and the cries die in their throats. Their verbal virtual is replaced with a murmur of curiosity. What is going on here? Demands a low baritone voice. The murmurs of the crowd turn to silence under the gaze of this new arrival. Answer me. What is going on here? Repeats the voice. Taking notice of the new arrival, the guards snap to attention. Well, sir, these individuals attempted to enter the town. They are not residents of Oberammergau. Yeah, I can do it. Nor do they have any sponsorship, tentatively explains one of the guards. Why would you Why would this lead to such a vicious attack? The man questions. Well, sir, the boy showed signs of plague on his feet. They attempted to conceal it under bandages, but we discovered their deception. The guard proudly explains. The man turns his back to the crowd and takes several steps forward toward the victims lying on the ground. He first examines the feet of the boy, who remains on his back and covered by his mother. My lord, he is infected. The danger is too great, cries out the second guard. Silence! The low baritone voice calls out. The guard lowers his head and stares at the feet after being so directly chastised. The man takes another step forward. The woman is lying on top of the young man. She's on her hands and knees. Her legs are straddling the lad's chest. Her bottom sticks up in the air as her chest is draped above the boy's face, and her forehead is planted into the ground. The man can see blood trailing down her cheek and dripping into a crimson pool on the road beneath her. He stretches his hand out and places his fingertips under her chin, and guides her head to turn towards him. Her face is covered in dirt and blood. Her hair is tangled and matted to her forehead. Through her disheveled condition, her crystal clear blue eyes gaze into his eyes. He senses that at that moment she is weighing his character. In an instant, he knows what he is going to do. The man stands suddenly and hollers, "You fools! This is my cousin's widow and son. She ventured here from great distances, and this is how she is greeted?" He is confident that the force of his delivery will conceal his deception. Lord Gravenruth, we had no idea you were expecting visitors. If we had, starts the guard. But that's a cool name, by the way. Gravenruth. Gravenruth, yep. Is that not what I said? I thought I said that. If I didn't, that's what I meant to say. Lord Gravenruth cuts across the guard's excuse. Are you saying that it is my fault? If you knew them, if you knew they were relatives of mine, You wouldn't have stoned them? The Lord scolds as he scans the spectators and assailants. Oh, I was just ready. Got it. But thank you. Because you never know. This is not how the townspeople of Aberamengau treat our fellow man. We have been spared the wrath of God because of our purity. Our neighbors suffer under the gaze of God because they have lost sight of their humanity. Will you condemn our community with your sinful actions? Berates Lord Gravenrith. Even worse is that this lad is not inflicted. A minor inspection of his wounds would show he has burn blisters. You there, the Lord indicates as he points to a group of people standing on the edge of the crowd. Help me carry my relatives to my manor. And you, he says, pointing to the guard, do something right and fetch the healer to attend to my family's injuries. Tita sighs with relief. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, she whispers before she rolls off Luca and collapses onto the ground. Ooh, that's chapter 37, folks. Crikey. Let's hope he's got good intentions and doesn't just want to put her through more abuse. And you are doing well in saying those German names and words. Thank you. Because normal words are fine, but sometimes, well, I guess these could be considered normal words too, depending on where your upbringing is and what you've been exposed to. But I'm just making the best guess I can. And if I get it right, score. Okay. So, here's how I want to play this. Because I'm trying to time this so that Thursday we have enough time for everything. I think the best course of action, because it's 39 chapters plus an epilogue, and we're about to do chapter 38, so I think today we will do chapter 38. We'll do our stream raiders, hopefully successfully. And then on Thursday, we'll do chapter 39, the monologue, and then, the epilogue, not a monologue, it's an epilogue. And then we'll talk to Goldie and ask him a bunch of questions. So, before I forget, write down any questions that you have for Goldie about this book that you want to ask. And maybe even about him if he's willing to share. So, don't hold back, but be prepared, and we'll get to as many as we can. So, it's monologue though, since you're the only reader. Well, it's fair. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's good. 38 as a good cliffhanger. Sweet. That seems to be the way it always goes when I'm reading this book. Goldie, you really researched well for these things. Yeah, that's going to be one of my questions when we get to it. Just about the research in general, because there's a ton of it in this book. And Goldie says, I am an open book. Fantastic. Great to hear. All right, then let us not make haste, or waste. Let's make haste. This is some of the stuff us Germans learn in school. Well, that makes sense. Because you live there. And just in case, if you wanted to grab a copy of this book for yourself, there's the link in chat. Be sure to take a gander, support the author, however you want to do that. I know it will be appreciated. And since we're talking about books, if you want to win a copy of -19 and Final Earth, you can, just by following those rules below. And I will put you into the drawing. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to pull it up right now and take a quick look-see. If I can get the website to Come on. You can do it. I know you can. Okay. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 entries right now. So, someone's gonna win. Yes, reviews on Amazon are also super helpful for authors. Always appreciate those. Alright, with that being said, let us read chapter 38. We are back to 2020. We are in early September, the Berkshires, and it is late afternoon. Alright. Alex shifts to his left, placing his head on the driver's side window. In the haze of waking, he curses himself for not packing a pillow to sleep on. Yeah, I don't think a pillow was on his mind at that time. He never considered a pillow as a vital survivalist equipment. However, after a week on the road sleeping in the truck, he's reconsidering his assessment. Alex's eyes flutter open, and he attempts to peer through his fog-covered windows. A breeze smelling of damp earth drifts through his cracked window. The air inside the cab is thick with the humidity of the day. He sits up straight and tosses aside the sweatshirt he has been using as a makeshift pillow. He exits the truck and stretches his arms toward the sky. He circles to the back of the truck and lowers his tailgate and lifts the hard covering. Lowers the tailgate and lifts the hard covering. He inspects his remaining supplies. The 3 gas containers are now empty. He used the last one of the gas to fill his tanks last night. After a week, he has made a large dent in the non-perishable goods he confiscated from the Russian general store. Only half of the bottled water remains in the truck. Alex has kept the empty jugs, figuring he can refill them at some point from a faucet or garden hose. He grabs a tin of Russian cuisine and, pries it open. He slurps down the food and then pours water from the water jug into his thermos. Alex closes up the truck. He drags his hand along the truck's bodywork, feeling the round bullet holes he collected on his journey. He pulls open the driver's side door and slips back into the driver's seat. He leans over the passenger seat and removes a candy bar from the cardboard box full of the vending machine food. The contents of the box are now down to the final dozen items. He will need to find another vending machine to loot. He starts the engine and slowly backs the truck up from its hiding place. Pine needles and twigs crunch under his wheels as he maneuvers the truck through the tree trunks and saplings. After the second day on the road, Alex learned that concealing the truck would be vital to the success of his journey. The first day on the road was fairly uneventful. Alex took the highway headed east out of Houston. He made it a few hundred miles before he needed to stop to get gas. He pulled off the road at a highway service center. The line to get gas was 20 cars deep when he arrived. As he pulled into line, he noticed a couple of state police cruisers parked at the service center. The 4 officers seemed to be making rounds between the gas pumps, convenience store, and fast food restaurant. Their presence made it clear that there was to be no funny business. Ultimately, Alex waited more than an hour to fill up his tank. While in line, he spent the time conversing with the other patrons. Their stories increased his concern regarding the deteriorating conditions. The other patrons relayed stories of unrest, riots, looting, and general pandemonium. They were forced onto the road to escape the rising violence in their hometowns. The disconcerting part was that the people in line appeared to be from all over the south-central region of the United States. Alex wondered if there was anywhere that had escaped the panic. When it finally became his turn, he filled his tank until the gas began pouring from the opening. When he finally pulled away, he noticed that the line was twice as long when he arrived. Around midnight, exhaustion finally forced him to pull over at a rest area. He used the men's room and then pulled his truck to the far corner of the parking lot. He briefly opened the back to gather some food to eat. His consumption of candy bars and potato chips left him craving something a bit more substantial. After eating his meager meal, he returned to the truck and slipped into the cab. He set his phone alarm for 6 a.m. and then reclined his seat to sleep. Alex was startled awake by banging on his door. His eyes shot open as he tried to remember where he was. The pitch blackness outside the window did not help him orientate himself. The bang on his door came again, and Alex jumped from the unexpected assault. As he peered out the window before him, he saw a man dressed in leather. The man banged on the door for a third time. "Wake up, sleepyhead," called out the leather-clad biker. "What are you doing here?" "Just trying to get some rest before I move on," responded Alex. "Well, this rest stop is under supervision of the Scorpions MC, and we aren't running a fucking motel," stated the biker as anger bolstered his words. "Hey, I'm sorry, I'll be on my way," Alex stated, now noticing a couple of bikers standing behind the aggressor. "You can't just leave without making restitution. Do you sleep in a hotel and then skip out on the bill?" retorted the biker leader. Right, of course not. I have some money. How much you looking for sleep here at the rest station?" replied Alex. "We're not interested in your money. We are sure there is something else you can provide for us utilizing our rest area," the bike leader responded, his cronies giving hearty laughs at the suggestion. Alex was now particularly concerned with his situation. He figured that they were going to shake him down for some money, but their intentions appeared much more nefarious. He was hardly naive. He was prepared for some sort of potential confrontation. He had his jacket draped over himself like a blanket. Underneath the jacket, Alex has his loaded handgun. He already had the ignition key in the engine, ready for a swift departure. "Right, that makes a lot of sense. I think I have what you're looking for," he began. The three bikers turned to look at each other quizzically. "How about I offer you some lead?" Alex pulled the loaded gun from under his jacket and pointed at the bikers. He used his other hand to start the truck engine. The three bikers stepped back startled, having expected an easy mark. "Don't any of you move or my finger may get a bit twitchy," he warned. He accelerated out of the parking spot and directed the truck toward the on-ramp to the highway. He flicked on his headlights, illuminating 3 Harley motorcycles parked at the edge of the parking lot. In an inspired moment, Alex swerved the truck at the motorcycles and used his front bumper to ram into the bikes. He heard the screams of the 3 angry bikers as he crashed into their rides. I would have done the same thing. After contact, Alex swerved back onto the ramp and sped away. The bikers managed to get off a few shots before he put a proper amount of distance between them. After leaving the rest stop, he took the next exit to get off the highway to avoid any followers. He reviewed his state maps to find an alternative route that would avoid the highway he was just using. By the time dawn was breaking, Alex needed to refill his truck with gas. He was on a new highway, headed east, and knew the next service stop was a few miles ahead. The open roadway allowed Alex to see he was headed towards something ominous. Billowing black clouds rose from the horizon. As he came closer, the black smoke dominated his field of vision. Just ahead was the exit ramp to the service center. But by this time, it was obvious that the burning gas pumps were the source of the smoke. I could a whole highway fight with the bikers. They don't make it. Well, sorry bikers, picked the wrong fight. The retail space was damaged and looted, reminding him of the Kroger back in Houston. A full-on riot appeared to be in full swing at the service stop. Alex guided the truck away from the entrance and continued down the highway. He pondered if people had expanded out of the service center because of all the local sources of food and gas were already blood dry. He wondered if this service center had a police presence like the one he had stopped at the day before. He guessed the police couldn't be at every gas station, restaurant, or market in the country. All the looters need to do was find which locations were unprotected. Alex took the next exit and pulled into a parking lot a few hundred yards from the highway's entrance. He retrieved one of the gas cans from his truck and filled up his gas tank. He capped the gas can and secured it back into his truck. Secured it back into the truck. 'Cause words. The next several days became a game of cat and mouse. Alex completely altered his travel habits. When he could, he avoided traveling on the highway. He was fearful that bandits would take up positions on the highways where victims had little opportunity to get away. He used his detailed state maps to find interstate roads that would move him generally toward the northeast. He spent the majority of the day moving. A moving target was a harder target to hit. Each evening at about 10, Alex sought a secluded location to pull his truck over and get a few hours of sleep. He hoped the dark shade of the truck and the dimness of the night would help conceal his vehicle. He determined that he could use the 4x4 feature of his truck to take the vehicle into the woods off the side of a country road. He figured the isolated, off the beaten track locations would limit the number of human encounters. Within a couple of days, he developed a true natural instinct for just the right wooded location to hide the truck. When driving, Alex's major goal was to avoid other motorists as much as possible. He sought out roads that stretched for many miles but also appeared to circumvent the center of towns they cut through. He also drove exceedingly fast. The typical road rules did not apply during a societal collapse. The officers did not have time to deal with something as quaint as a traffic ticket. Alex was relatively surprised at the lack of cars that he encountered as he traveled east. In fact, as the week progressed, there were even fewer cars on the road. As each day went by, he saw more and more signs of destruction. Cars with shattered windows, left abandoned in the middle of the road, became more frequent. Smoke plumes from recent fires peppered the sky as he made his way east. In the latter half of the week, he saw caravans of people walking along the roads toward some unknown destination. Alex floored the truck past these groups, making sure he did not get enveloped and overwhelmed. Unfortunately, the angry bikers were not the last vehicle altercation Alex experienced as he traversed the country. Luckily, his truck's mass and V8 engine proved to be the superior contender in each of those confrontations. But all that adversity is now behind him. He finally exits the woods and eases the truck back onto the New York country road. He wanted to rest before reaching Dr. Strong's cabin. His goal is to approach the cabin at dusk to secure a tactical advantage. Now rested and fed, he is ready to take the final steps to his goal. I can't wonder but think if this mission that he's on is almost a suicidal mission of sorts. Like, he doesn't care if he makes it out or not. He just wants to, try and cover his pain with some sort of retribution. But after that, whatever. Just my thoughts. Several hours after leaving the woods, Alex rolls the truck into the Berkshires. His level of focus skyrockets. He is close now, and he knows that any small detail may be the difference between success and failure on his mission. He will make Dr. Strong admit his role in killing Sarah, and after he extracts that confession, he will put a bullet in his head. Alex spots a gas station ahead. He pulls over and removes the nozzle from the pump. He inserts the nozzle into the tank and pulls the trigger. The pump clicks rhythmically, but no gas comes forth. Frustrated, he slams the nozzle onto the pump and drives away from the station. A few miles down the road, Alex approaches an intersection and takes a right. He is now only a couple of miles from his destination, and every one of his nerve endings is humming. He scans his surroundings, looking for anything out of the ordinary. He doesn't have to drive far before he runs into a troubling scene. Directly ahead, by the side of the road, Alex sees two forms lying perpendicular to each other. In the grass to the right, steam emanates from an SUV that obviously crashed into a tree. He angles the truck to the opposite side of the road to avoid the debris. As he gets close to the accident site, he realizes the forms beside the road are two bodies. He slows, but does not stop. Whatever happened here happened recently. Alex doesn't risk stopping in case whoever dealt out this carnage is somewhere close. Gee whiz, I wonder what that could be. The loss of Sarah is too much after the loss of his soldiers and parents? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not, 100% truth, no doubt at all. It is probably foolish that he even bothered to slow down. He is mere minutes from his own violent confrontation. It is best he stays focused on his own mission. After passing the accident, Alex speeds up just in case the assailants are waiting to pounce. Hopefully, the speed of his truck will deter any aggressive maneuvers. It only takes about 10 minutes for Alex to reach his destination. In fact, he almost passes the cabin's driveway. The residential mailbox alerts him that a driveway is present. He cuts his lights and stops at the roadside entrance. He notices a long driveway to travel before reaching the cabin. After observing his surroundings, Alex assesses the woods that flank his position. He turns the wheel hard to the right and moves the truck forward so the vehicle is practically perpendicular to the driveway. He then backs the truck up into the woods. With the setting sun, the truck should be well concealed from both the road and the driveway. Alex turns off the engine and pockets the key. He retrieves his gun and ensures he has a full ammo clip. He exits the truck and softly closes the driver's door. He creeps through the woods that circle the cabin. As he gets closer to the cabin, he notices a shed and a large pile of firewood directly ahead of him, just beyond the woods. Using the shed and wood to shield his approach, Alex sneaks forward. He thinks he may have been wrong about the cabin. In the failing sunlight, he would have expected there to be some lights on in the cabin, although maybe this is one of those rustic cabins without electricity. He continues around on the side of the building and spots a BMW parked behind the cabin. Alex's expectations soar. It seems reasonable for a doctor to be driving around a fancy BMW model like the one before him. He slinks up to the car and places his hand on the hood. The car is cold. His target must be inside. Alex slithers forward to the cabin. He peers into the rear windows. Through the glass, he sees an empty bedroom. He slides around the cabin and cautiously peers into the windows he passes. He gazes upon an empty kitchen and then to an unoccupied dining room. After a tentative glance, he moves to the front door. He sneaks a peek through the ornamental glass in the front door of the cabin. He has a full view of the dining room, living room, and kitchen. The cabin appears to be completely empty. He wonders where the inhabitants are. Alex reaches for the door's handle and gives it a turn. To his surprise, the door handle turns and clicks open. He softly pushes the door forward while drawing his gun. He steps into the cabin and gently closes the door. Alex drops to a crouch with both hands on his weapon. He points the gun in front of him and sweeps the room before him. He checks behind the couch and the kitchen counter to see if anyone is using them for cover. He notices a pile of folded blankets and a pillow stacked next to the couch. Finding both rooms clear, he moves down the hallway toward the back of the cabin. He tiptoes forward, and at the first door on his right, he pauses. He swings into the doorframe and points the gun forward. The room is also empty, but he notices 2 makeup bags and a shaving kit on the far end of the counter. Alex assesses that there could be up to 3 people staying here at the cabin. The question is, where are they? The car is out back, but they are nowhere to be found. Exiting the bathroom, he continues down the hallway to the bedrooms. He enters the larger room and finds the bedroom in good order with the floor clear and the bed made. The closet has a mixture of male and female clothing stored inside. He moves over to the dresser and finds the drawers divided between a sparse selection of male and female undergarments. He glances at the top of the dresser to find various pieces of female jewelry. Behind the jewelry sits a child's stuffed unicorn. On the wall above the dresser hangs a small framed mirror. Tucked into the frame of the mirror are a couple of photos. The first photo is a young couple sitting on the beach together. The tan sand frames their dark athletic figures. In the opposite side of the mirror, a group photo of several men in uniform is the focus of the picture. Alex leans in to study the photo. His eyes grow wide, and he snatches the photo from the mirror frame. He turns the photo over to see the frames of the names of the soldiers printed on the white backing. The Gang, Iraq, 2004. John F., Tud W., Frank S., Mike H., Dean S., Al V., Ramon R., Ernesto S. Alex angrily places the photo in his breast pocket. He retreats out of the bedroom and moves back to the front of the cabin. He suddenly hears various voices yelling at each other. He peers out the front window to see a man and 2 women walking down the driveway, yelling at each other. Alex checks his handgun, and then swings the front door open and bursts out onto the porch. And that's where it's going to have to stay until Thursday, when we come to a gripping end of this tormenting tale. Oh boy. And you'll be missing the last one, which is why, Queen, you should just order a copy of the book. Buy it now, right here. Or you can watch the VOD, yes. And before I forget, so last night, we didn't do our normal subs only read because I was gone at Hicks's house having a little party. There was no dancing, actually. There could have been, but there wasn't. And that means the subs only read is tonight in about 3 hours. So 7 p.m. Central, 3 hours from now. If you're subbed and you're in the Discord, feel free to join us as we continue reading through Ready Player One. We're only at chapter 15, so we're not that far in. We're just taking it gradual and slow. It's a voice channel, so if you want to use your voice, you can. Yeah. So there you go. Alright, let's do Stream Raiders. Wow, there's way more people in there now. Where were we all before? Just keeping me on edge, I think. We have a lot of archers this time, so let's do that. 3rd time's a charm, right? And while this battle's going, I'm going to see if there's someone that we can go say hello to so that we can raid out. Good luck. Okay. Let's take a look-see. Refresh. Oh, excellent. Looks like Aaron went live. so we'll go say hello to him. Look at that. Victory. Gonna be a massacre for them. Annihilated is right. Oh, let's see. Cabo, Queen, and 13th. Get the goodies. Good job, everybody. I knew you could do it in the end. Never doubted you. Never doubted you for a minute. Okay. Alright, so, again, if you're not in Discord and you're subbed, or you just want to, join the Discord for the fun of it, feel free to do so. But otherwise, I will see you again very soon in there so that we can continue reading Ready Player One. So, thank you again for being with me. I appreciate you all. David, Aaron, Hicks, Cabo, and Jeff's wife, Raven, for the subs and the bits and the follow. I really, really appreciate it. I love you. I really do. Thank you for reading this afternoon. I won't be able to join this evening. That's okay. Thank you for letting me know and that it wasn't just broken. I appreciate that. And as I like to always say, we can't fix the world on our own. But for someone, their world we can fix. So keep that in mind as you go forth. And if you're able, I will see you Thursday for the end of this book. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
That's my Christmas tradition. Every Christmas is the night before Christmas. In fact, in a talent show kind of opportunity with work that I did 10 years ago, I read this. Oh, hello, Atkinson and his party of 13. Oh, hello and welcome. Thank you, Gariki, for hosting my stream. Hello, come on in, everyone. Sit down, relax, get ready for a nice, easy stream. Although you've just come from a nice, calm, easy stream from Atkinson. So, cuddle up next to the warm fire, and Merry Christmas to you all. So, as I was saying,